Tonight, medium Nancy Matz joins me to talk about aliens and alien abductions. See you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? Yeah, I hear that. I heard that. Everybody's doing good. You're all doing good today. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 strong up and down the state. And that means if you have an issue somewhere within the state, we can get to you. It might take us a couple hours, but we'll get there. I promise. You can also find the team. You can find the team on Facebook. You can find the team on Twitter. You can find the team on TikTok. You can also find the team. Yeah, I think that's it. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. Oh, YouTube. I knew it. Senility, I tell you. Senility. If you watch the show and you like what you see today, please be sure to follow me. You can follow California Haunts Ghostly Events. Even that's our business page over there. You can follow that page and just click follow and like button and all that good stuff. If you're watching from YouTube, same thing. Bottom right hand corner down there, there's a little ghost with a magnifying glass Sherlock Holmes hat on. Click on that. That'll subscribe you to all our videos. We got lots of videos, lots of topics. Yesterday we were talking Scientology. I like to vary it a little bit. Anyway, I want to welcome everybody. And wow, it's getting colder outside. Burr. It's been a burr all day. Anyway, tonight, usually we do this on Friday, but we're kind of changing it up this week. So instead of I'm thinking tomorrow's my day off. Saturday is my only day off from this. So I've been thinking all day, wow, I'm going to have a day off tomorrow. Then it just dawns on me it's Wednesday. See, I'm used to having these casual Fridays. Anyway, so Nancy Matz is with us tonight, and we're going to talk about some neat stuff because I had an experience a couple weeks ago, that I'm going to talk to you guys about. And we're going to be talking about alien abduction and stuff like that. It's kind of different for Nancy and I to be discussing here on the air, but this is the stuff we talk about when we're not on the air, out of your prying ears. So we're going to be talking about this stuff. So it should be a good show. Let me get Nancy in here and get the show on the road.
There I am.
There we go.
Hi, everybody. Hello. And Sherry and Marissa's in our chat room already. I figured the more I'm working with Char, the more I understand how StreamYard works.
That way ahead of me. See, I didn't even click on it yet. Jerry, Marissa, Sherry. How the heck are y'all?
Hi. This is yes, I'd like to hear your story before we start. I have lots of notes, and I do want to do a broad brush. I've had an experience. I've had friends who've had experiences. Mine was an eye-opener. It was recent, within a couple of years. I don't talk about it. Didn't think I should until, and we'll speak of that until. And I'll get talking, I'm going to take over. So Char, tell us your experience first before I start just going off.
It was odd. I had a show to pre-tape actually about alien abductions. And I had gone to bed at like 2:30, something like that. And I needed to be up early because I was taping at 9 a.m. So I set my alarm for 7. And I do it on my phone. Nobody uses real alarm clocks anymore.
I know.
I heard that.
I know what this is. Go ahead.
It's the aliens. I know it is.
Yes.
I don't think there's hardly anybody that uses an alarm clock anymore. We all use our cell phones. So I didn't say, I said hardly anybody.
Just as old folks use clocks.
So I set it up, and I've always had my phone, and this irritates everybody I know because when I do the show, there's always somebody that calls me. It never fails. And look at this. I got all these hi Nancy's and no hi Charlotte. Hey, what's up with that?
Oh, Jerry said hi Charlotte.
Oh, no, Jerry did, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody else, what the hell? Okay. Be that way.
Continue.
There go the vibes. Okay. So I irritate the hell out of everybody because my phone is on silent mode all the time. And that's because when I do the show, unfortunately, there's always somebody that will call me, even though I'm on the air. And it drives me nuts. Or I get a lot of notifications for stuff, messages and stuff. So it'll keep going off during the show, especially with my Ring doorbell. And so I tend to put it on silent mode, but sometimes I forget to take it off silent mode, so people are trying to call me and I don't hear the ringer. But this night in particular, I had taken it off silent mode. I had the ringer turned up because I knew I was going to have to get up in the morning after sleeping like 4 or 5 hours. So I fell asleep, and I woke up feeling really weird. I mean, really like I wasn't in the same position I had fallen asleep. Literally, not in this. You talk about moving around and stuff. I sleep in a recliner because it's comfortable for me. But
I can't move around a lot.
the recliner, put it this way, the recliner foot part that I usually have up was all the way down, like I had gotten up and walked.
Ooh.
Or then I looked over at my alarm clock because it woke me up. I knew I had to be up, and it was 8:30. So it's like not only was it 8:30, but the alarm itself was turned off
And what time would you had this alarm set?
for 7:30.
So your hour difference.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, you have to physically set the alarm, and if you're going to turn it off, you have to physically push a button to turn it off, and it was completely turned off. So I looked and I found a couple bruises on my arm, and I don't know, I just had the distinct feeling that I might have been abducted.
Ring, ring, ring. Nancy.
Yeah, so I called Nancy before I did the show. But
How many?
I just had the feeling, and it was just a weird, odd feeling because when I looked over the alarm, I saw the alarm. I saw my feet dangling down on the floor, which they're not supposed to do that. Where the thing was down and stuff. It's like I had been. It's like I had been put back in my chair without the thing put back up. So I had a
And I
feeling that
have
was
a
a
lot of
difference.
clients that sleep in chairs.
Yeah.
The big fluffy, let's get really comfortable. And as people get older, sometimes it's easier. When she called and talked to me about it, we kind of just put our heads together. And I don't know how many of you, I, watch clips, videos all time on YouTube, all kinds of matter. I learn a lot. It's wonderful, um, crazy. But once I saw a short, it was just a real quick, I think it showed up on Coast to Coast AM station. Then you could find it on YouTube as a short somewhere. And this fella was walking out of his house. It was dark. Maybe head out to get a beer or newspaper, who knows? And he had a ring or something that was focusing the camera onto the porch. And it wasn't like a really big porch, it was cement. He took a step off of it. He had like 3 steps, and then he would take a left to head to his car. He took one step, and zip, he was gone. Zip, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we're taken. In that, beam me up, Scotty, never occurred to me they're taking us apart.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do they put them back together? You know, do they have? How do they do that? I don't even. It hurts my head just thinking about it. Yet, when you think about it, if they take us apart, our electricity in our body is shut down.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you have a watch on? Electricity is shut off. So she's in a location. I don't wear a watch anymore, so my
Mm-hmm.
experiences weren't calculated in that way. So if she's zapped up, possibly, how did the feet thing get down? Maybe she got up and then she was zapped. I don't know. But if the electricity in our body, even our brain, is shut off as we go up, maybe we need to be back down for the watch to start again.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we figured out that hour difference. I
But the
love it.
weird thing is with it all is my dogs are always with me. And certainly, it's like you say, I must have been zapped up somewhere because
Uh-huh.
certainly if an alien had walked into my house,
Oh, my word.
dogs would have lost their minds.
I can't even call you sometimes. They're all barking at once. My
Yeah, and I
goodness.
mean, that's what I don't get because it was just. But I woke up and the first thing I thought when I saw the phone, and I just had the feeling, and I just thought, I feel like I've been abducted.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. People I trust in my family. Mom, you're different. Yeah. They've messed with you. You're different. I go, no, I'm not. I just got this from my dad, but clearly what they're saying is UFO abductions are family. You know, it's
Hmm.
hereditary, it's
Yeah.
generational, whatever you want to call it. And my father had an immense amount of ability. Drove my mother nuts. Uh, he met her and he said, "I'm going to marry you in 90 days." She said no, and they did. Uh, both of us were born. He took a life insurance policy out the night at midnight, April 1st, 1955. He got killed at 2 o'clock that morning on a freeway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. He worked for Universal Studios, so he was doing artwork of the starlets and the movie stars and all. And he used to talk to his dead father all the time, drove my mom nuts. And he would talk to his mother in different locations. And she used to talk about it quite a bit. She says, I just don't know how they did that. Well, I guess I do that. How many times have someone thought of you and you end up calling them?
Hmm.
I'll call Shar up or I'll call other people up, and I'm not mentioning their names because I didn't ask permission. And I'll say, "What's wrong with you?" I have a girl on the East Coast, and I can feel her so clearly. I'll call her up and says, "How's it going?" She always blah 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 blah. And there's a few people that when you have that kind of connection, you can do that. It won't change it if it's a spirit person. You can still feel them, and you can talk to them and say, if you want to take a trip with me, I've invited deceased family members to take a drive with me. Oh, you want to come? Let's go. I'll feel somebody. So I can't tell who it is right at the moment unless I pay attention. And one time it happened to my husband. Make your animals quiet. uh, my husband took a trip to Texas to visit a very close cousin. And we're all older. So this man was at the end of his life, and my husband visited him, and a few weeks later, he did pass away. Uh, and about a month or so after that, we took a trip, and I don't remember what it was, but we were in the car. It was quite a distance, and you know how you sit there and you feel someone's eyes looking at you, right?
Hmm.
And you turn around, and I saw this man, and I described the dead cousin. How do we get on that? Let's move away from dead relatives. I
Dead
don't
people.
want to
Yeah.
talk about that. Yeah, yeah.
You're talking
So
about
we're
your dad. Your dad
the abilities. Okay,
probably
so
abducting the
right.
abductions and all that. Yeah.
So what I'm speaking to, and I have so many notes, everybody. We're getting off track and really quick. I want to get back on track. What we're going to talk about tonight is, and I want to go back to this hereditary abductions. Yes, it
Yes.
does happen. But I want to put that in context with the notes. I I'm a note engineering, background before I got into this, so everything is notes. Um, y- how many of you have watched Ancient Aliens? One of my favorite shows. In fact, they go back to what 2010 or 11. I still watching them, or earlier, and I can watch the same show 10, 11, 12, no, 5, 6 times and be completely satisfied because you never really
Hmm.
catch everything. And they speak to making the public aware that there's something going on. And I really do believe now there's something going on. I can tell you about the experience I had. And how many times around the world did they go into caves and you see these um, artwork? You see the hands. And then a few hundred years later, you see the hands on one side of the cave. And on this side are these figurines with rays of light being shown around their heads with the big eyes and small bodies. And you go, that didn't look like their relatives when the hands are so clearly our fingerprints. And around the world, you're going to see cave paintings of aliens of different kinds, not representative human form at all. You can
Hmm.
go back to the Bible. The one of my favorite, well, I shouldn't say favorite because there's a lot of favorites, is the Madonna in her house with the UFO beaming a light down on her, implying that she was seated by the gods. Think about that for a moment, everybody. I like talking about it. And I don't want any religious stuff coming in here. I'm just talking because that's one of those I go, hold my breath, hold my breath. Don't talk about that, man. Don't make a reference to that. I got dizzy there. Don't make a reference to him that he was a UFO kind of a guy.
Well, here's the other thing. Chariots of the Gods. Love the book. Read it cover to cover. It must be
I
800
read it
times now.
25 years ago.
But now that we don't want to have this discussion about religion, okay, What about, because when every time you see like the pictures, I'm talking the old time pictures of the saints and
Of the saints.
all
Oh,
that,
absolutely.
they all have the yellow
Hmm. Hmm.
thing around them, like a helmet.
I'll make you reach back to Star Trek, the
Oh
earlier
yeah,
version, where they encounter a group of giants, and they're
Apollo.
called the Apollo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And he said, "You worship us like gods." Who's to
Hmm.
say they were gods as much as UFO individuals that reveled in our worshiping of them? Clearly, there was quite a important message there. And
Well, that's the thing too. When you think about, like, when you talk about going like further back, the Greeks and the Titans.
mhm. I guess I'm going to a place of now realizing they have been multitude of different. Oh, the other one I want to bring up is Middle East, Arizona, New Mexico, underground caverns,
Hmm.
mountainsides built in, protect them from the elements. And I looked this up, and I've already forgotten. Somewhere, some gentleman was going to dig out a basement, and it was in Middle East somewhere. And he went down, and he got into a corridor, and there was like 14 floors going down, and that's where the ant people live, they said, or they brought the humans down to live through some kind of earth catastrophe. Don't tell me they're not here, everybody. And of course,
Hmm.
that is the discussion. Yet Japan has buildings and contribute to the UFO experiencers. Peru, how many have stories about the villages being inundated and taken
Well,
over by
what about
UFOs?
that cave that they found and then nobody knows where it's at anymore, up in the Grand Canyon with all the
Oh yeah,
giants in the cave?
right, right.
And they
Yeah,
took the
there's
bones. They put they took the Smithsonian supposedly came in, got the bone samples, and they all disappeared.
actually they think that at the Vatican, and I'm not positive about that.
That's a
Uh,
possibility, yeah.
that's a
But
possibility.
nobody can find this cave anymore. But it was there. Some guy was
I
rafting, looked up, and saw the cave, and then climbed it.
Right. So I guess I'm going to a place now of, well, I want to bring up one more thing. How many of you have seen, everybody have seen this from Ancient Aliens in the news of today, of the pilots, the Navy pilots, taking the pictures of the little Tic
The Tic
Tacs?
Tacs, yeah.
Come on, really? And now 16 military people have been assigned to a particular group just to investigate UFO investigations. So I just want to bring up that I have read tons of letters and forms and things that people have sent to me, articles, people, clients of mine that said, by the way, do you do past life regression? I go, absolutely. Do you want to do UFO? I go, I'm not trained there. You know, there's some things I have done it by accident. I've had a couple people. One of them is pretty predominant in the UFO community. And when he came to see me in '92, he had experience traveling across country, and it's you can look that up, but I can't give you a name because I didn't ask his permission. And uh, he was going to a place where it was going to be fearful, and I have a way of moving my life force, and I went through him and dropped him down even further. So I was able to go through it, but it's not something I want to do every day. Maybe because I just haven't had enough exposure. Maybe I need to talk about
Hmm.
it more. Um, so the question, if they're here or not, isn't at debate here tonight, because I do believe they have been here, and I believe that there is multitudes of different kinds. I think there's some that live like ant inside the mountain. I think they're in the ocean. I think there is a colony or some kind of group in the sky, in the clouds, and they
I
form
think.
because right because people have taken pictures but not seen them. They're like hovering all the time in the clouds. I would love to be up
I
there and
also
look at.
think they're here among us. I believe that
Yep,
they at some point down the line they are going to the government is going to admit that they're here and just going to be your next door neighbor that you've been talking to all this time. And what because they've been doing this hybrid program thing,
for
they
so
look just
long.
like us now. Yeah.
They're
It,
integrating it into our society,
yeah.
and I'm be going to that point.
Okay.
Some of these
Sorry.
things I pick it up. No, that's all right.
Oh,
I get excited too, but there is an order to my madness
I know there
because I'm
is.
gonna
That's why I knew.
because I'm gonna say some things that I believe is some truth.
See,
And
that's the difference between Nancy and I. She has an order to her madness. I just plow right through my madness.
No, no, dear, I'm not saying that at all.
I do.
Um, uh,
I admit it.
well, we're all I get excited. I have so much, and every time I'm on a show or someone wants me around, I go, kind of keep me down. I have a lot of energy and I want to express myself. I don't want to take over. I want to be polite. And sometimes I get carried away too. Okay, so they are here. We're talking about it. Want to admit to it the artwork, the caves, admitting that even in South Arizona, southern part, there was caves in Sierra Vista area, and those are beautiful caves, and they have not even explored all of them. But they say 12, 13, 14,000 years ago, there had been colonies of people who had lived in them. I like that. And if we go back to a place of the ice age, was that it, or was there another kind of a catastrophe? Kawaitua blew up or something. But humans were given a lot of help to survive, and I'll tell you the reasons why I think that happened. Uh, so my husband had a couple experiences. Once when we lived in Tucson, and it was a military base area. He was in town, and he was driving a bigger vehicle, and he had part-time jobs to get out of the house. He had a bigger vehicle. He was moving vehicles back and forth, and he was traveling from west to east through the town, and he was up on a ridge, and he was coming down into the town, and as he looked up was one of those rectangle ones, but it wasn't like high. And he says, why did I see it and nobody else? Was it military? Oh, there's something to be thought about. Are we
Hmm.
back engineering the crafts? Absolutely. So another show, and it was just last night, and I meant to tell you how interesting this is. I had two shows back to back on this. Is that someone had asked me where are they putting the crafts, and I actually picked up, and I've done this so many times, especially with Shar, and I've done it with other professional people, remote viewing. And I did see a cavern inside of a mountain or dug out, and it's very shiny clean to me, as though they polished it inside. Probably a means of keeping it clean. I don't know. And I can see in my mind five or six. So they have been back engineering. So did my husband see a back engineered next to the military base there in Tucson?
Hmm.
Absolutely. Why not? Why not? No one drove off the road except for him. He looked up and went, "Hoti Tamola." He come home, he's talked to me about it, and I go, "Wow, I see dead people. You see UFOs. Let's trade. I'd love to see a UFO."
That
It's,
story that your husband has is interesting because when you think about the Phoenix Lights,
that was a couple miles across. That's a little hard to hide.
but I'm just
You're-
saying, I mean, if he saw this craft, then obviously the Phoenix Lights may not have been from out there. I mean, they're from out there, but they're as you say, they're already here.
I
Especially
think they're
since
over
he was
here.
in, yeah, Arizona and saw that. That's kind of cool.
Uh, well, like I said, if it's one of ours that we've back engineered, why not? Because there's military nearby. Or was it one of them checking out the military base?
Hmm.
So I put it back up and just really quick here. So some weeks back, I had an experience and I was talking to some people, and Shar and I thought, what'd be a good show to talk about? Let's just talk about it because I had a message from them. And then I have another friend named Sue Coop, and we did a show last night, and she picked the topic. She has someone she knows, a young woman who has a young child, and she has a unreasonable, unrelenting fear of being picked up by aliens. What's the odds? And we were scheduled for Monday night. Shari said one of the guests wants to juggle again. So Wednesday night. So we talked last night. We're talking
Hmm.
tonight. Just a little different variations. Synchronicitous? Absolutely. Is there a point to this? We won't know yet. But I do find it coincidental that just last night, a topic I normally never talk about has come up two nights in a row. And so, a couple of things I'd like to talk about if we have time is how to live your life in fear of possibly being picked up.
Cool.
I think that's very, very potent in today's site when you worry about everything and everything that's on TV, and the world's coming to an end, and there's people out there baking and cooking and putting it away for 100 years because of fear of war and strife in the cities, and now oh my gosh, am I going to be picked up? So it is more prevalent in younger people to be picked up and have fear than the older people that once have talked to me. Um, okay, so I want to go down. Um, Sometimes when we talk about UFO experiences, we pretend it's going to happen to somebody else. And I would like to go there because I feel like we've had so much exposure. The world news, US stories, people who are shown on TV going through past life regression, it stirs up a lot of anxiety. If you've ever seen the movie District 9, The Day the Earth Stood Still,
Hmm.
War of the Worlds, how much fear is that in coming at us all the time? We may have to get to a place of thinking, I guess if we were a risk, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. We're gone. And it wouldn't be blowing us up. They would give us something to make us disappear. I imagine there's some kind of laser or something like War of the Worlds. They lasered all the people. A lot of work. These robots coming out of the ground, lasering people. They're probably something that would be very fast and very easy. Independence, they would just blast and blow up whole cities at a time, possibly. But why would they want to damage the planet? So I want to talk about that. There's a lot of things I'd like to talk about if we have time, like past life bleed throughs of fear that would make us worry about abduction more, drama of earlier life when you see abandonment issues. Then you talk and hear about UFO people being abducted by UFOs. Do they come back? We don't know. Steven Silsberg, this second time I forgot that movie. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was just in the newsletters, online magazines I take that it's possible, more than probable, someone needs to prove me wrong, that he got an inside scoop on what really happened and that he was doing a documentary. It wasn't really a movie. I'm going to go there. I like that. And it
That's because
proved,
and part of that too is the main French scientist
yeah,
character is based on an actual, I forget the gentleman's name,
right, right. Me
who
too.
who who is who was an expert in UFOs and alien abductions.
And he has since passed away, so there's no way
Right.
to call him up.
Hmm.
But I get real excited thinking about that because the message was these people were peaceful. And if they rescued and pulled out of serious, um, well, the woman in the field with the little boy that disappeared, some of the people that they rescued were pilots, possibly crashed during a war or um, turbulence in the sky. There was
Hmm.
rescue. So in that movie, at the end, when the craft came in and turned upside down, the doors opened up, and hundreds of people were walking out. If they had been people that would damage or hurt us, those people wouldn't be given back to us. And can you imagine the stories they would have told?
And the
How exciting!
fascinating thing about some of those people were they had been disappeared from the Bermuda Triangle,
Yes, yes.
which was kind of cool too. The
Well,
Flight
it's
19
cool,
guys.
right? And the idea was is that in the Bermuda Triangle, as well as Alaskan Triangle, as well as other places on the planet,
The one in
it's
Japan too. Yeah.
very disruptive to the magnetic fields of their equipment.
Hmm.
So you can appreciate if that's so, was there danger and those aliens picked them up to save them?
Hmm.
I mean, there's no way to know. I wondered, how about the ones that were gone through 3, 4, 500 years ago? All their loved ones are missing, but they would have been dead. So a brand new beginning in a different era would be very
Well,
exciting.
I could see them picking it up the same because maybe like it's so disruptive. Maybe you do like Maurice and I went through that time slip thing or whatever that was.
Yeah,
Maybe they do go into a future time, and of course they're not going to survive in the future time, and so these aliens are picking them up because they're gonna, there's no oxygen or whatever, and they're trying to save them.
that's what I said. They might have been
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
life-threatening situation
right, right.
unless
That's what I'm saying. Just
they
going
might have
through like
saved.
a fissure in time. Yeah.
Right. And so in some ways, they didn't go out of their way to do it, but they were humanitarian efforts were given
Yeah.
at the moment. The leader of the group, the small aliens came out with those people holding their hand and guiding them out. and they did take Richard Dreyfuss at the end. I
Uh-huh.
would like to know if that's true. How exciting to take that step. Of course, I would never leave family. There's too many kids, and if they offered Shar, she'd say, "Let me get my toothbrush."
Let me get my
With a
dogs.
heartbeat, I would never. And you're
Hell,
well,
let me grab my
well,
dogs and I'm out of here. Yeah.
I don't know about the dogs, but anyway,
And
that's
my
family,
reporter notebook and my reporter recorder. Yeah.
right? So that would be a question I would ask, because they probably didn't have any. I've never seen animals on those ships or the sense of it at all. So Steven Spielberg,
Excuse
Bill
me 1 second.
Steven Spielberg has never admitted, but the consensus is that someone told him what really happened, and he made a
Uh-huh.
movie out of it. He was at the article I read said they were putting a documentary together, and it fell apart because the government had put a nix on it. We can't let the public know.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of work been put together, and they're just finishing up. And Spielberg said, "Wait a minute, we're not going to put this documentary out after I spent all this time." So he made a movie out of it. I think that's terribly exciting. So we're indoctrinated by the public, by the fears that the aliens are here to hurt us. And one of the most potent ones, of course, that the Earth stood still not only in 1950, Rennie was it, but now recently, 10, 15 years back, the one that came, Keanu Reeves, I think, played the part, and they went and destroyed the planet. All the people, it was terrible. He saved us at the end by sacrificing his own life, but he saw the humanity we have. I think that we would be gone if we were a menace and a problem to them. This is where I'm going to start. And I have a lot of notes. We can talk about a lot of different things, but I'd like to keep it to an hour, and I have a tendency to talk too much. So I would like to say that when I was, a couple things I never talk about. What are you laughing at?
Oh, it's a comment in the chat room.
Do I talk too much? Yes.
No, no, no. Somebody said when we were talking about like the aliens and all this, somebody says they packed
Pick
up
up a
snacks
say.
for later.
That's a
That's
good comment.
that's pretty
Yes.
funny. Yeah.
Swap the world angel for alien. Our gods are from another world, other worlds. I watch Ancient Aliens also. Oh, Jerry, give me some popcorn, girlfriend. I I just I'm a voracious reader. I read everything. I have a lot of newsletters come my way, and I discovered YouTube a couple of years back and thinking, what did I miss? Anyway, there's a couple things. I'm a private person. A lot of people, I just do life. Have a couple of cats. They're always on. I got one here. He'll put his ear up right there. Big cat, and I have a tiny little one around at the corner, both the twins. But life is private. We just work a lot, and I never talked this a lot. I was a sickly child. My father was a Christian Scientist, and after he got killed, my mother finally got my tonsils out. And one night after I got home, she gave me an aspirin. Well, during the night, I bled out. I guess I died. She came in, must have heard a ruckus, and the next thing I remember is being carried away by the gentleman she was dating at the time. They had not gotten married yet. And it's funny how you remember being grabbed and run. He was running to the car. Well, during that one little experience, I had 30 seconds worth. The lady was holding my hand, and we were above everything, and I could see some children. And she was showing me a picture of future children to be born. She says, "You can't stay with me." And I really wanted to. She seemed like a really nice grandma. But the other thing that happened is in 2002 or three, we got married, my second husband and I. And we moved to off of Kirby Way and Foothills Boulevard in the Spanish homes, if anybody knows that, in Roseville, Spanish styled homes. And while we were there, I'll call it a dream. I'll call them the dreams, only because I don't have absolute proof, but they were odd. And the second time, uh, he talked to me. The first time I had this dream, I was outside walking, and there was a small person next to me and walking with me. And we walked up to a wooden fence with a ladder. I couldn't see over the fence through the fence, but there was a ladder. I thought that was kind of odd. I walk up, crawled up, stepped up. I didn't crawl, stepped up, and below me was a round thing that I could see down. and the ladder, I step up on this platform area, and then I use the ladder to go down. Couldn't see it clearly because it was the middle of the night. And I did see it being odd. I thought, why do you want me to crawl down, look like a manhole? And I crawled down. It was like this, just like going up. And I put my feet barefoot. I was barefoot on the steps. I remember thinking they were wet. And as I got to the sitting area, I think most of us have seen, instead of a place to sit, it was bars, like 4 bars or 3 bars, so that people could sit. And it was round. It was like 10 feet, 12 feet across. And there was 3 other people. Can't remember. I remember thinking I saw a man with blonde hair. And behind me came this person that had walked to me. When I got into the ball of it, there was a person across. And all of a sudden I felt movement. And instead of a window, something opened up so we could see outside.
Hmm.
Right. And the next thing I thought of was we must be on the freeway because we seemed to be going quick. And I didn't see anything. And it felt like we were going to the Riverside overpass on the freeway from Citrus Heights into Roseville. So you can all look this up. And as we're coming to the overpass, I said, wait a minute, you can't go through that dirt. The overpass. And he was headed right through to it. We weren't going to go underneath. We were going through this. And in my head, I heard, quiet her down. Boom. Wake up in the next morning. Don't know what happened. Was that a dream? Wow, pretty. Oh, there's Joe. Pretty comprehensive dream. I don't want to remember. I don't want to have a regression. I don't want to experience that. If it don't hurt me, let it go. Um, and so we moved here and there. I had some illnesses that have gone on. Moved up to Hornbrook. Hornbrook is north and east of Wairika, 30 miles from the Oregon border. And everybody can look up Black Mountain, Hornbrook, California. That's where we were. And terrain is gorgeous. We had a 40-foot deck overlooking the valleys, looking at Mount Shasta, the house to die for. The sky was really big, and a couple of acres. You can't see the neighbors next door. We all had a couple of acres, an acre and a half, 2 acres. And so it was very quiet and a lot of stars at night. A lot of times I went outside and I just look up, right? So before I sold the house, we tried for a while. I moved my husband for health issues. And recently I did move. But before I came down, I had a dream. I'll call it a dream. And I all of a sudden find myself talking to an individual and I'm outside. And when I look at the individual, I'm looking from the rib cage down. I am short. I'm only 5'4", maybe a little bit more. I was tall at one time, kind of shrink down. I'm looking at this individual, very thin, kind of insect-like, rounder here, flat, rounder, flat. It was kind of an odd shape, not human at all. Not what we would consider human. And there was no fear, no anxiety. I didn't have any sense that this was wrong. It was a dream, everybody. I'll go there because I have no proof. And I looked at this individual and I was contemplating what was it wearing. And my analysis is kind of like a wetsuit. It seemed thicker. It didn't show any, like if you put a suit on a human, humans are bumpy, lumpy, muscular, whatever, right? And there was just absolute smoothness. So it felt like maybe the suit he had on was thicker and it smoothed out everything. But the suit, silver, frosted, blue variations, it was beautiful. And of course, I say, you're beautiful. And then this head comes down and looks at me, cocks its head sideways and goes, huh, she thinks I'm beautiful. When I told these people they're important to me, these 2 ladies, they said, of course you would say that. If you knew me, I have flowers and beautiful things all around me. If you stay home a lot and work out of your home, you're going to have a lot of artwork. You're going to have these bifolds behind me. They're always around the house. I have a lot of them. A lot of them are really gaudy and really colorful. So naturally, I'm an artist, was an artist, and that's really important. And he looked down and he went, hmm. And then the next thing I'm thinking is I'm not there anymore. I'm somewhere else. And I seem to have a conversation of, why am I here with you? Why do you want to talk to me? Why? It was a question, but not necessarily just words. And he says, it was kind of fast, so I'm slowing it down. I'm putting my own words to it. How can you interpret? Because you're flooded with these emotions and feelings. He says, we have been here a very long time. And when I said long, he said long. He drew it out. Long time before you came. Well, really? Okay. Get it fast, kid. And he made me think that they want to be part of our existence on top of the planet. Made me think they were in the water, or were they in the sky, or were they in the dirt. They did not share the topsoil with us. They did not walk around. And they want to do that. What they're doing, and I would love to know people's stories. We should do a show, have call-ins just on this. The people that think they've been abducted, are they intuitive? Do they have a sixth sense, as they would call it? Do they have the gut feeling? Whether they see spirits or hear spirits or have a perception is a plus. They are looking for those people. And there is genetic engineering going on, and it's generational. I don't like thinking my kids have been taken. They are very gifted. Ha ha, right over the top. What they're doing is they're following that and creating more opportunities to have that ability. So they clearly are doing some kind of a breeding program with their people so that in the future, when they are shown here, the first thing we do, we don't pick up a gun and try to shoot them. Right now, we're not there. How many people have said, when we go Bigfoot hunting, we're taking the biggest guns because we're going to bring one back. We're going to shoot it. And I go, wait a minute. There are shows that want proof. What do they do if a Bigfoot comes ramping around going, what are you doing in our backyard? I have a family over here, just like a bear. We're not given the chance to live with us. They live outside of us. And so the same with the UFO people. Conversation went a little further. I thought to myself, if you want to be here, are you saving us? Are you wanting to live with us out of necessity? They just don't want to be hidden anymore. So the breeding program is to get us not complacent, but have a sense they're not here to hurt us. They want to coexist with us. Next thing I thought of was, well, how it would benefit us. If they live coexistingly with us, they will give us technology so we could advance our civilization. They need a ship made or some part done. We have the factories. We can do that. That would upscale our civilization by hundreds of thousands of years. But to do that, are they going to be hidden only with the military? Do we not benefit? How many of you don't want to pay tax gas anymore? Hello, let's do something that's easier. Is our government holding us back because they're making money off of us? Well, the UFO people may come in and settle that problem. They're not here to take over. They want to coexist with us. They're not here to save you. They're here to save the planet so they could coexist with us. The word comes to mind: vagabonds, gypsies, tourist. My husband had another sighting in Hornbrook area. Just happens that's like 4 years ago. And he was going from the mountain, Black Mountain, driving down to the town of Montague that would lead to Wairika. And he's going around a bend. He's driving the truck. He's a little higher up, and he sees these three cars parked, and they're all out there pointing up. He doesn't look up yet, but he pulls over. He gets out of his vehicle. He's saying, what are they looking at? He sees something that's a cigar shape. Now, that valley, if you get Google Maps, Agar Boulevard, as Agar, Montague Road, Agar, Hornbrook, somewhere it's split name. And it is breathtaking, as is the look from my deck looking at Mount Shasta. Like, take your breath away. Wow, wow. This cigar thing was coming from his right hand, going across the valley to the left. Could not see, very slow, no sound, no windows that he could see. He didn't even go to town. Nancy, I just saw a UFO. I'm looking at him. I going, oh, that's so exciting. And out of my mouth, tourist. I didn't even think. He said, looked at me, what, tourist? I says, who said that? Who said that? Maybe I'm already tuned in. Maybe they said we're here as tourists. They're enjoying a vacation. What? Yeah. They're enjoying our planet and they now want to coexist with us. They take all those missiles, the ones with just regular missile heads, and the ones with atomic something else in there, and they destroy them. You know why? They don't want you to destroy the planet. They're not trying to save you. They're trying to save the planet because they want to enjoy it with us. They don't want to take it over. These are small groups of people from different solar systems, interdimensionally, pop in, pop out. Everybody's seen that. They live here for a while and they move on. We may have the greatest tourist gimmick ever if we just took advantage of it. How creative could we be with our technology? What do they eat? Can we create that? Can they breathe with us? Well, they're breeding with us so they can live here with us. How many of you know somebody who is one of them? I'm certainly not. I'm now, you might ask some of my friends, they go, you're not normal. You shouldn't be able to do that. And I go, well, maybe I had a little help. As my friends say, you've been tweaked with. And I get kind of squirrely with that, but maybe it's not me that's important. Maybe it's my ancestors and the breeding programs yet to be done. Both my kids are very, very bright. They're all in professional fields. Is that part of it? Maybe they are. I don't know. But I don't think it's as nefarious as we're thinking. I think if we were to be dead, they would have done it by now. There's a lot of countries going on. Last night's show, somebody did bring up, unfortunately, are they the one with COVID? I cannot address that. He says yes. But there are people that talk to me who feel like there was some kind of Mickey Mouse in around. Maybe someone came in because there was pictures. How many of you have seen those pictures of a woman in her house and she's on a FaceTime with somebody and they record it and there's an alien behind her? How many have seen that? They come and go and they're invisible to us. That's because interdimensionally they're floating in and out, just like a spirit person. I have spirit people around me all the time, but until I desire to see them, oh, please stay invisible to me. I don't want to be bothered. Is that cold and different? No. It's because that's what I do all the time anyway. I already am existing in the flesh, and this is my time to live. They had their life. I allowed them to talk to me. What about the FL people? They're the same way. If they wanted us to see them, they would allow us to see them all the time. Unfortunately, the ships do fall apart and they do crash. I think, Shar, was it you and I talking about magnetic fields, wind shear issues? There's all kinds of things that would bring them down because they're not used to our planet. Maybe it's a hot rod teenage kid taking the saucer out without permission. Who knows? We have them, and I just saw it last night again, and I have been tested numerous times. In fact, the gentleman, I wish I could say his name. Well, how much trouble would I get into? Ooh, what? Anyway, this fella that's in UFO, he asked across country about this mountain in Nevada, and I did tell him there had been a tremendous explosion inside, third, fourth floor down, and he did investigate and said I was absolutely correct. It's kind of scary that way, but I love doing it. I don't mind being tested. Shar has tested me 40 times. You know, Nancy, we're going to do it. Throws a picture in the mail to me. And I tell her when she walks in, I said, don't you see this guy's off to the right? Or was that some sane asylum that I did with somebody back east? I can't even remember now. But
no, you've done hotels with me like that and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you have some good stories of the
yeah.
rocking chair, right? So I know it's possible that I am seeing these things. And then I think to myself, why aren't we all knowing this? I don't think we're emotionally ready. I don't think our mental capacity is soft enough to receive, I want not here to kill you. Then I would say, Skywalker Ranch, why are you hurting the cattle? They're doing that as areas of the body that cancers in humans happen. Prostate cancer, tongue cancer, breast cancer. They're taking the softest parts of our body where accumulations of nasty minerals and products of our society dripping and draining into the soil, coming in the grass the animals are eating. Since beginning time, they've been monitoring us and seeing how bad we're treating the planet. At what point can they step up and say, you can't test anymore. You can't um, do an atomic bomb underground because it's seeping into the water of the world. They are monitoring us for health issues. They're not, that is the reason they're doing all this. The people they're taking is for breeding and also testing for contamination. And it's for us, but it's also more for them. You could get mad at them, but at what point can they come to the surface and say, we'd like to share it, and we're going to give you technology, and then you can travel the cosmos? Um, I think that's very exciting. I would like to talk about those of you that have the fear of being abducted. Can I make that easier for you? No. There's a lot of movies. There was one in Alaska. I'm trying to think of Nome, Alaska. There was a movie that came out many years back of a family that gets abducted, and it was terrifying. And the connections of the fifth time. What's that? Um, the fifth kind is when they abduct you, and I
Right.
think those events are so scary. And I'm not just talking about the gentleman that was abducted, the five, um, what were they, loggers or something,
Travis
Travis.
Walton. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not speaking to that because I do believe that was true. Are they all? I think that he got killed, and they brought him up to the ship to bring him back. And there probably was damage because when they took off, there was some kind of beam out of the body of the ship, and he might have gotten killed, and they brought him back. So I don't know that they were doing bad things. And of course, the drama of the movie, he even stated on interviews that they embellished what really happened to him. I think
Mhm.
it was low key. The idea that he was gone 5 days is very telling. I don't know why, but maybe he had body damage and they were making it better. I don't know, because he did say it stunned him. He felt frozen, and I think it accidentally killed him. And that wasn't their intent at all. I hope I'm not freaking anybody out. I wanted to get to a place of saying we have the wrong idea. We think it's about us. They're helping us. It's not, it's about helping them. They're not here to make our life terrible. They're here to share this with us. Now, someone in the room, someone out there is thinking, yeah, but they created us to haul up all the gold out of the planet. Who said it was them? What civilization used us all those years ago? And Shar and I have talked about Pro Magnum, the Jennison Group, all these ancient animal kind of things that came up to be us. Well, why not tweak them a little bit so they can do manual labor? I don't want to say no to that. That we finally came up to a place in animalistic world that we could take care of ourselves. Um, Lucy was the first one they can definitely say that most of the people on the planet come from her. How
Mhm.
exciting is that? I really don't want to have a discussion. Did they tweak those animals? And have a friend that you don't say it. How many men would think, oh, that's fun. Let's go out there and visit with the women apes. And we don't know how it worked. I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to. But I did have this experience. I want to say, after that experience, I might have had a second one because it felt like I was having one dream, and he was trying to tell me that they want to be part of our world. Does that mean my lifetime? At my age, how many more decades? Another 1, 2 decades at the very most, I'll be here. Could be my children, or grandchildren, great grandchildren's decade. To them, it's not very long. But I do feel that they will be part of our world, and we will advance, and we will have construction of types of buildings we've never experienced before. And we'll use the deserts, we'll use the oceans because of their help. And by doing that, we will not seed the planet and overrun and use all our resources up. We'll be able to monitor and take care of things better. They'll let us have advances so we can leave the planet and do as they did, as long as we let them be coexisting with us. Now they're not going to take over the places we're living. My gut, and I've also talked to a couple of people I can trust that felt like they would be going to deserts, or they'd be going to areas of dense population of forest that no one lives in. They don't want to be part of our cosmopolitan areas. They want to go where they aren't bothered.
Mhm.
And many of you have seen the Arabian country. This young man was with his camera, kind of taking a picture of the landscape, and very desert, as you would expect. I really don't know what country it was. And a spaceship came down, and three aliens, the real tall, thin ones. Was it the kind that I saw? I can't answer that. And they came, walked around, two got in, took off, zip. I mean, like that, like zip, and they're gone. And the other fella kind of looked around a few more times, and then, as with the fellow who stepped off the porch, took three steps, and then one left to go to the car, zipped up, and that alien zipped up also. What were they doing? Surveying the dirt. Is this like a good place? You think this way is what we'd like? Because they're kind of trying to find a place where they can live. I'm not talking the movie District 9.
Mhm.
Absolutely not. That is a horror movie. Very interesting. It was a different perspective of a crashed ship, and we don't want them here, so we hustle them off and quarantine them. And it was a turn of events that was pretty nasty. I didn't like them. I liked the movie as a creative endeavor, special effects. The man that got contaminated and turned into one of those, that's kind of creepy, but probably. But at the same time, I think it was a presentation to give us fear. And I don't know if that's what we should be doing anymore. How much time we have? Oh, 3 minutes. Um, do you, what would you like? Sorry, shall we call it a night, or you want me, what do you want?
Do you want to go on?
I could talk a few more minutes. Do you have anything to add? Was there any questions in the room? Um, the ancient aliens? I can't
Well,
figure out how
there's
to do it.
always stories like okay, let's get back to
Oh, the movie
Hornbrook and
They?
Montague. Let's go back to Hornbrook and Montague. There's always stories about Mount Shasta. And if
Right.
like when you go into weed, every mystic shop you go into, or every bookshop, there's all these stories about aliens and UFOs and everything from that area. And that when you talk about them being
Yes.
in secluded places, Mount Shasta is where there's supposed to be a base underground for the reptilians.
In
And it's well
night.
known in that area that it's like that. And yeah, I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to Weed or any place like that, it's a place called Weed. Yes, an actual place.
Well, you can
It's
pass
a bookstore.
Shasta City, Mount
Yeah,
Shasta, and then
yeah.
you coming down into what I would call the Siskiyou Valley, where I lived on the other
Mhm.
side. Weed is,
Mhm.
and it's really a tourist, very quaint little town. Had a big fire there, a lot of buildings, but they rebuilt them, and so in some ways, that's Mount Shasta City is gorgeous. It's quaint. Um, Everybody would love to be there. Anyway, I wanted to share a story. I entered this environment. Everybody knows the story. For those who don't know, I was working Pacific Bell and diagnosed with cancer stage 3 plus in 87. I had
Mhm.
3 surgeries, got into all the treatment, and left my husband July 1st of 88. 2 years later, year and a half later, the universe said, the doctors told me they thought I could live. And it was shortly after that, or 2 years after that, that the universe sent me the Spirit of Grace, Universal Christ of the Master, in Citrus Heights, California. Excuse me. Where's my coffee? By the way, I picked my cup, the caffeinated on one side and decaf on the other. Love my coffee cups. Anyway, the group was quite large. There was a lot of people there. And when I started with 8 people that night, read them all, and within a month or 2 months, I had like 30 people every Friday night. And one of the gentlemen I met there was a fella named Ole, Ole. Can't pronounce the last name. He's from Norway. And over the years, I met him off and on, and one of his best friends named Dennis. Well, the buddy, the Dennis, and he thought they would take a trip, and they went up to Mount Shasta, and they became part of the Mount Shasta Metaphysical Group, or whatever it was called in the 90s. And while they were up there, they actually saw those UFOs.
Mhm.
Now, this is an engineer, very educated, and Dennis is also not someone that would be talking about this. But he admitted to me that they went there and they had the shock of their life. They went for the girls, I guess, or the women, like, let's have fun, let's go there. And they joined the group. And at the time, I think Dennis was single. Wait a minute. Or anyway, and so they just had a good time. But while they there was what they call you pack a lunch, you take a walk, we're going to drive you around the mountain. And when they did, they saw those UFOs coming out of the mountain. And there has been photography people, and you'll have to Google it. They were looking from the direction of Hornbrook,
Mhm.
Wairika, taking a picture, and the side of the mountain where there had been snow darkened, like it opened up, and UFOs went into the side of it. Hello. I never saw anything like that. But yet, my husband saw the cigar shape. How exciting would that be?
Mhm.
We have to turn the fear factor around. And last night, we talked to the UFO, but we addressed the fear and how to manage it. Um, and that's pretty tough to talk about. And I think talking about why they're really here, hopefully that will take the stigma of the fear factor. I don't know if I was abducted and had terrible things happen to me. Yes, I have scoops out of my hip and things happened to me. My daughter had something happen. She was 9 years old in the middle of the night screaming, and she had something happen. And her finger, no wound, but it was sore for like 10 years. It was like something happened. And I can only say that it's very possible, like we spoke to at that time, we're talking 40, 40, 50 years ago, 45 to 50 years ago, this happened. We didn't even talk of UFO. My husband would say things like, "Ooh, women's intuition. How did you know this? And how do you know that?" And I would know about the horses and the cars, and I would give warnings like, "Tell them take care of the car." And oh, it's on and on and on. Crazy stuff. There's a couple things I want to address. Those of you who are suffering from UFO abduction, one of the best things to do is find a therapist, this lifetime regressionist that can go and investigate without fear of factor destroying your mind. A thing I really encourage, I joined the Winnemucca meetup group, Winnemucca UFO, and it always coincides with my shows with Shar,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And so that would be a really good place if you have fear and anxiety, is talk to people who've had the same experience. No, I don't want prodding. And one day was talking about how they put a needle in her eye. I'll go, oh, I don't even want to hear the rest of it. Don't want to hear the rest of it. How many times have we been abducted? I don't know. Of the 2 times that I actually saw these individuals, they were different. I forgot to mention the third one. I had another dream, remember, no proof, that I was on the ship. And I had come and was walking from the peripheral, like nano uh, of the day the Earth stood still when the ship opened up and you walked into it. It was huge though. Like where I was walking, I must have walked in 10 feet and I couldn't even see, you know, at where I was going to go, but it felt like the inside like a ball. And the
Mhm.
outside peripheral, what I was looking at, I could put my arm out and never touch anything. I looked up, it was probably because this gentleman that took me prior time was very tall. It was absolutely smooth. It was a silvery gray color, but in the visual of the arced part that went up and the flat part we would walk on, it rounded so far away that it disappeared into a little speck. Huge. But when I looked at it carefully, was lines as though you could go over and lift a lid up and walk down, or something in the ceiling, or something in the the ballpark that would go into where the mechanics of the inside of the ship would go. There was nothing interfering in your visual except when you looked at the smoother parts, you could see that something could open up. I thought that was odd. I thought, well, if this is traveling to mean dimensions, is this part not supposed to be inhabited? I didn't have an answer. Does it twirl around? I mean, I didn't have an answer. I just thought it was really odd how barren it was. Because there are people that say, oh, I saw a UFO and I could see the people in windows. This didn't have it unless it was higher up.
Mhm.
So there may be a mechanism of the magnets underneath me, or there might have been an identical underneath. Who knows? I did find that kind of curious. The expanse of it was tremendous. It was a little tiny ship. You walk in, and it was like the Taurus of Doctor Who. You walk in, and it's huge. I can't answer that. But where I walked in, it took my breath away. I went, wow, this is huge. But the gentleman that talked to me uh, was tall. I mean, almost twice my height. I'm 5'4", maybe not twice my height, 8 or 9 feet tall.
Hmm.
So I hope I gave you some ideas. Can't stop it. I would say if I weren't fearful, maybe that they don't want me to remember. Wouldn't it be fun to meet them and have a conversation? What, what do you have a Christ figure, or do you celebrate Christmas? What what do you call God? And what about the beginning of the universe? Do you know how that happened? Oh, absolutely. In the movie Contact,
Mhm.
how she goes through the universe and she sees the beginnings of a lot of solar systems and how unbelievable her breath was taken away. And then they drop her, carefully lowered her to the sandy beach. And in the distance, her father shows up. Of course, he's an alien and he is of energy and he projects a memory for her. And of course, she wanted to ask all those pertinent questions that we all want to know. Do we need to know? Faith is amazing. It's nice to
Mhm.
have faith. I have unwavering faith. People can't shake my faith. The reason I work, the commitment to writing books and doing these things. Shar would tell you, "Oh, don't get in the way of Nancy's beliefs." You know, it's like, because it's just amazing.
Mhm.
Where does that come from? And do they have the same belief? And do they stand by it? How do they think? I would love to know. Anybody out there want to have a cup of coffee with me? Please let me know. Ring the front door. There's a lot of questions I would like to know. And those people who have seen their offspring, it's not a terrible thing as much as they're trying to integrate into our world so they can share it with us. Everybody
Mhm.
can be okay with that. The last thing is past life memories. I do believe that's possible. I think that we've been abducted for thousands and thousands of years, as far back as some of the paintings, even to Egypt. And so, if you have a memory and it's being brought forward and you already have an implant now and you're terrified, we don't know how many incarnations you suffered.
Mhm.
And I'm saying suffered because we're not knowledgeable why they're really here. And I kind of felt this gentleman wanted insect kind of person. I don't know, gentleman, female, male. It's beautiful. Um, I think that choosing a few of us to speak up to take away the fear, and I'm certainly only one of thousands of people that talk about this day and night,
Mhm.
trying to awaken the planet because they want to share it with us. I think I've run that to the ground, hon. Any
Okay,
questions in the chat
we're
room?
done. No, we're good.
We're good.
So, guys, tomorrow, my mic's reflected, doing a weird thing. Tomorrow, we are going to have a gentleman on, and the ironic thing is his last name. So, we're going to be talking about witches and witchcraft tomorrow, and hopefully, I get his first name right. Demir, I think it's Demire, Demir Coffin Williams.
Coffin?
Yes.
Poor guy.
So he's going to be with us tomorrow, talking about witches and witchcraft at the usual time at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. So be ready for that. And anything else I can think? Nope. If you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We're equal opportunity here. And if you're watching from Facebook and you like what you hear, please hit that follow button, either from the California Haunts Ghostly Events page or from my page. You can check it out that way. You hit that button there. If you're watching from YouTube, there's that little ghost in the bottom right-hand corner with the magnifying glass, and that will bring up that little red subscribe button, so you can subscribe to all of our stuff as it comes out. Also, now for those of you on YouTube, there's a community page, and once you get into I don't really know what it looks like for people that don't have YouTube stuff going on. So I'm assuming that you can see everything across, like videos, live videos, blah 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 blah. Anyway, there's a community page. Over on the community page, it's kind of like a Facebook on YouTube, where I can put blogs on there. I can leave shorts to videos. I can do stuff like that. Plus, right now over there, I have a poll going. I want to know what you guys like to hear. So I have a poll right now. There's 3 things on it, and if you go over there, do check it out and just click, yes, yes, or no, whatever. Just let me know. Give me an idea of what you guys like to hear about. Okay.
And me too. If you'd like me to talk about something.
Yeah.
Particular for
that's
you,
a place
for
you
your
to leave
interest.
messages to us as well. If you want Nancy to talk about something or whatever. So I think it's kind of a cool thing. So I'm trying, I'm giving it a whirl for a while. See how it goes with it. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys now because I'm tired, and I'm catching up the website at CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. And if you want to find us, you can find us at CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com, or you can find us at YouTube. Are you ready for this? Get your pens out. YouTube.com /@ California Haunts Radio, and the C, H, and R are all capitalized in that. And that'll take you directly to our YouTube page. So finally, something simple to find us. All right. So here's Nancy's information, and then we're going to sign off here. Here we go. Websites, nancymatz.com, nancymatzauthor.com with the N, M, and A capitalized. And then you've got youtube.com / Nancy Matz Psychic with the N, M, and P capitalized. Books, help get me out of this funk, Nancy Matz. And 2 Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills. And you've got the Unwilling Sacrifice. You can get those books at Amazon. Alrighty then. We will Nancy will be back next week on her usual night, but I will see you tomorrow for Mr. Coffin Williams and Talking Witches. All right, guys, have a good evening and see ya.